Morning. It's interesting because when we first come to learn about Zen or to practice, we actually we come with a way of trying to learn from up here, from the thinking mind, and this study to study Zen or to do this practice is actually to study yourself. So I had there was a high school class that came, I think it was Thursday, and then they said, "Oh, tell us about what Zen is." It's just like if someone asked you what is your life. So it's something that we need to when you study or practice in this way, you actually have to let go or actually relearn what you have learned. So that's kind of it's interesting because you have to let go. You have to let go of yourself, and so you have to let go, and then you have to actually totally forget, like it's a non-doing forgetting. So you actually receive the true teachings. Of course, when we think of true teachings, there's something outside of ourselves, or there's something that somebody will say, or that you'll understand, but it's not like that. It's more. It's actually listening. Listen, when I'm speaking, you're listening to yourself. So it's like an echo. It's listening to yourself. So it's not something outside of yourself, and that's actually how we should practice. It's not. So we shouldn't hear with our ears, or we shouldn't see with my eyes or your eyes, but we should see with the eyes actually of reality, and the eyes hearing, and studying in this way is studying the self. So studying your life is actually studying yourself. Let's see here. I'm going to try to say some words about this fascicle that our founder Eiheiji Dogen wrote, and he wrote many writings, and these writings were like the footnotes, or actually different views of Zazen, of what we just actually what we did or what we're doing. And the practice of actually sitting. the title of it is Sokushin Zeibutsu, and it's mind here and now is Buddha. So this writing is quite. I kind of opened it up just the other day, and I started to try to understand it, but it's the practice. The practice is very deep and wide and profound. So what I say is actually what you're saying to yourself. So let me read. What every Buddha and every ancestor has maintained and relied upon without exception is just mind here and now is Buddha. Many people and students, however, misunderstand that mind here and now is Buddha did not exist in India but was first heard in China. As a result, they do not recognize their mistake as a mistake. Because they do not recognize the mistake as a mistake, many fall down into non-Buddhism. When stupid people here talk of mind here and now is Buddha, they interpret that ordinary beings' intellect and sense perception, which have never established the Bodhi mind, are just Buddha. So, see. I want to talk about something about mistakes, and I think we make mistakes because our view of reality is actually much you would say viewed from our ego-centered self, and we cannot see things or reality as it is, and so there's an unconditioned being that exists that moves towards being conditioned. And so this like in zazen we take the seated posture and then we're sitting, but then something happens, a thought comes up, or maybe we even feel our body, or we hear something. It's kind of a movement into being conditioned. So it's a movement into having form, and also having you could say having color, and then having sound. So this is a conditioning of the unconditioned. So when we sit zazen, we are deeply aiming and letting go of everything. So therefore, this unconditioned self will not be actually conditioned by actually this greed, anger, and ignorance that we create. And I'm sure many of you on the cushion, when you're sitting there, you have all these thoughts that push you this way, that push you that way. And these these are maybe it's once you realize the mistake. This is the mistake. The mistake is the condition. You're learning about the ego, about how big the ego is, and how hard it is to actually let go of this ego when you're sitting on the cushion. So let me. There's a. Let's see here. The origin of suffering is very deep. Originally, we understand that there is something unconditioned, some unconditioned being. But when unconditioned being is conditioned, something happens. When this unconditioned being makes some movement, it is the beginning of ignorance or greed, anger, and ignorance. When an unconditioned being remains unconditioned, so that's when we return to this. It's not even us returning to this seated posture of zazen, but when the zazen is just doing zazen, then it's this wisdom that arises that actually that's the reality in front of you. So that's why a lot of times when we sit, we keep our eyes open. So this movement, it's an interesting thing. This movement from being unconditioned to conditioned. So every movement that we have, this movement, that movement, how I see things, how I hear things, how I smell things, is actually a conditioning. It's not also a conditioning of my ego. It's a building of the ego, but at the same time, it's a conditioning of all things, even how I see things. So it's a conditioning how this paper now is a condition, because that's how I see it. So it's kind of interesting. The practice is very deep and profound that way. So we're not meditating. Well, you can meditate to become calm. That's not bad, but it's a lot deeper than that. The zazen meditation is doing something. The zazen is something that's very, very deep and profound. So that's why, yeah, in zazen, that's why we don't move. We have a thought, and then also we don't have a thought. So then we realize actually the thinking. We realize the thinking. So this awareness that comes up, then that's the awareness is the wisdom of the mistake. When you see the thinking mind, or when you see this unconditioned being, whatever this unconditioned being is, being conditioned, then that's when we wake up, and then we recondition the unconditioned to the awakened or the conditioned. You see, I read. realization and practice, just realization and practice like this is just mind here and now is Buddha, picking itself up and authentically transmitting itself to mind here and now is Buddha. Authentically transmitted like this, it has arrived at the present day. The mind that has been authentically transmitted means one mind, as all dharmas and all dharmas as one mind. For this reason, an old person said, when a person becomes conscious or an awakened state of the mind, there is not an inch of soil on earth. Remember, when we become conscious of the mind or awakened state, the whole of heaven falls down and the whole ground is torn apart. Or in other words, when we become conscious of the mind, the earth grows 3 inches thicker. So there's the, of course, then how we would study, how we have to study Buddhism is actually then through our 6 senses, which is the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and then the mind then controls all these senses that we have to study Buddhism with. It's the 7th consciousness that I'm talking about is it's the manashiki, which then starts to solidify then the faculty of ego-centered self. And when we have this ego-centered self, then we create suffering and we create problems. But our eyes are good. Our nose is good. The smell is good. And our ears are pure. And then our senses are good, but they're controlled then by the mind. And when we get it, we get in big trouble because of that. So this wholeheartedly then as a direct experience going beyond then our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind, as a direct experience, then we can receive actually these teachings. So that's important. Then we actually have to train, and we have to train ourselves to understand and to let go actually of this ego-centered self. And we actually have to meet it. Here's the reading about the unconditioned being. There is no additional delusion or realization. Mind, as fences, walls, tiles, and pebbles, is nothing other than fences, walls, tiles, and pebbles. There is no additional mud, or water. Mind as the 4 elements and 5 aggregates is nothing other than the 4 elements and 5 aggregates. There is no additional horse or monkey. Mind as a chair or a whisk is nothing other than a chair or a whisk. There is no additional bamboo or wood. Because the state is like this, mind here and now is Buddha, is untainted. Mind here and now is Buddha. All Buddhas are untainted Buddhas. This being so, mind here and now is Buddha, is the Buddhas themselves who establish the will, undergo training, realize the Bodhi mind, and experience nirvana. If we have never established the will, undergone training, realized Bodhi, and experienced nirvana, then the state is not mind here and now is Buddha. If anyone has any comments that you'd like to make or share, feel free.
Why choose the word mind to describe it?
No, that was just what was written in the book.
I know, that's a translation.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is because it's a bit misleading, since we refer to ourselves as mind, but that's not actually what is being referred to here.
You can say that when you become one with all things, or when when the mind drops off, then it's actually one with everything. So mind, you could say mind is the realization of all things, but when you like in Zazen, when you wake up to the reality of life, then you actually see the truth or the wisdom. So you would say maybe the mind is the wisdom that sees the true reality, that there is no separation between actually subject and object. You would say subject, once you create, there's ignorance, then you create a subject, and then you create an object. And of course, then it's the mind. You could say it's the mind of all things. The mind of all things.
I guess the problem is that the word mind implies thinking in
Yeah.
English.
Oh, yeah.
But actually what you're talking about is the absence of thinking.
Yeah. So of course,
I find the word mind to be unfortunate.
yeah. So of course, like I was saying, once we start talking about it and even thinking about it, then also it's just the concept itself.
Which is what you're trying to get away from.
Yeah. So but you have to say something about it. I have to say something about it because I'm up here today.
I'll interject.
But the real truth is actually waking up to your life that's right in front of you.
Yeah.
You know,
why not call it an activity?
You could call it activity.
But that way you get away from this thinking.
But thinking too is not bad.
No.
So that's another thought or subject.
But your thinking is what's getting you away from the wakeful state.
Yeah, but you can say there is actually no state. You know, that's what I'm saying is
Wrong choice of word.
is actually even thinking, even when you have a thought, even when you have a mistake, then the mistake is only the mistake if it's a realized mistake, or you would say it's the thought that's realizing itself. Then it's actually going beyond thinking. You know, so you could call it activity, or the way, or actually the impermanence or the emptiness of all things. You know, so but that's a good. Thank you for the question.
That it was interesting the way you started about that you are Buddha here now. Is that
Yeah.
what it is?
Yeah.
And it's not true, like, because you know, it's because you do not yet know what that actually means to be unconditioned, like you don't add something to your hearing, seeing, and so on. It's constantly adding something to it. So we don't know the other way around, and it takes very, very long time to maybe get a little glimpse of that. So,
Yeah.
and I think, you know, it makes me think about Dogen saying, like, if we're already Buddha, like, why do we have to practice? See, that's the intellectual mind that's thinking like that.
Yeah.
And then he's saying, like, just taking this posture is it's not even enlightenment, because again, that's something we make, right? So it's just, you know, this zazen, right?
Yeah. The unconditioned becomes before we can even think about it. It's gone. You know, it's yeah, it's the instant before the present moment is the non-condition. You know, it's the non-condition. So, but then again, then we have to, as human beings, of course, you have to make choices, decisions, but then yes, we create karma by how we see things, how we do things. But then again, then on a deeper level, then there's this one body as an activity that is creating this.
And
Yeah.
also, if you have no investigation of what it all springs from, what the source is, you really cannot know.